All right, hello, welcome to another episode of Syntax. So today we're going to jump right into functions in JavaScript, for better or worse. So I'm going to just be using Atom here, which is a browser or a text editor you can get. It's a GitHub's text editor. You can use Sublime, Visual Studio Code, wherever you want. And so let's just get to it. So if we want to define a function using a text editor like so, we can do so like this. So we're just declaring function. Let's, building on the data types we learned in the last episode, let's just add 2 to any number that we pass in here. It's kind of basic. Now, of course, you can put semicolons. You don't have to. I'm not going to get into that argument, but I think it's cleaner not to. And this is my video, so that's what we're going to do. Now, if I load this file that I've saved this, oh yes, so in order to get JavaScript working in the browser, you need to make an index HTML file like so. Most editors, you can just say HTML and hit enter, and you're going to need to add a script tag. So I've added a script tag here referencing that JavaScript file that's in my directory, right? Like so. So not too difficult, but some gotchas there that take a little time. So here we go. We're going to add 2 to this number, and of course nothing's happening because we need to inspect the console, and I've got it blown up here. So now we can add 2, and we can add 2 to 3, and we're getting undefined. That's of course because we're not returning. JavaScript, you need to return the value that you want to see. So if we do it again, there you have it, 5. Now, we can also write this in newer syntax. What you'll see a lot is const, which is like declaring a variable that's not mutatable. So if we wanted to, let's say, get at the index of a string, then we can pass in our string like so and just get the index. We'll need to also pass in the index that we want back. So strings are kind of like arrays. I showed you in the last video with bracket notation, you can get the item of whatever index that is from the array. So for example, let's just take a look at this. So if we want the index of this string, look, you can see my previous work. And we want the third item, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, and it's going to be the character I. And I think actually because our function is so easy to modify, we can even do this. Because we're using the same logic. Our function is just getting the index using bracket notation of whatever this string is. Now it doesn't have to be a string, we just happen to be calling that argument that we're passing into this function a string. But strings and arrays are similar in that they have indices and you can grab them. So pretty neat. Let's keep going. We also learned about arrays in the last video. So if we wanted to, let's say, map and add to an array, we'll just declare that function like so. We pass in an array, and we're going to use JavaScript's built-in map function. And we can take our first element from this array, and we can add 2 to that. And this will just return, since we don't need to return in the new ES6 syntax, it'll do it automatically on the one line. So let's refresh this, and if we map and add 2 to this array, we should get 3, 4, and 5. Now you may have noticed that we are duplicating ourselves, right? We have the same logic here, 2 plus the number, 2 plus the number, so we can in fact just call that function here, like so. And it should still work. So in this case, we don't need to actually pass in the element directly to our add2 like so. This is perfectly valid syntax and will work just fine. But you can also just pass this function to each element in the array itself. And we can do so like this, and that will be called on each element in the array, and this should still work just fine. And there you go, map add2, and we can test with other numbers. 2, 3, 5. Okay, let's do one more. So we've covered numbers, strings, arrays. Now let's try to think about objects. So let's say we wanted all the values out of an object. We could say get values, and we pass in our JavaScript object, and we know that the object is actually a prototype of object. So I believe we can just do this. Object.values from object. Now this is a silly function perhaps because you could just call it like so, but nevertheless we're going to try it. So if we have an object here, let's see, we want to get values. What do we call our function? Why can't I remember this? Get values. Get values. Huh. Oh, maybe I didn't reload. Get values, and we give it a value. These can be anything. And there you have it. Get value. So it calls our function. We pass in this object, which is just a, again, pair of keys and values, and we can get it returns each one to us. And you see here it returns this array. It's a little bit silly, but we'll get into that in a different episode. So that's functions in a nutshell. Again, they're just things that take in arguments, do some work, return an output. And you can, of course, have functions that don't take anything in, but you won't see that a lot in professional programming. This is just, so this is how it works. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Bye.